Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to our Mental Health Matters series on our Facebook here and online all over the place, actually. There's more platforms than just Facebook. My name is Katie Otto. I'm the Director of Christian Education at Emmanuel Lutheran Church. This is Shawn McKellan, licensed professional counselor with Standard Cross Counseling. And this morning, we are going to be talking a little bit about the concept of self-care. And it's kind of a hot topic, a buzzword phrase, if you will, right now. And I feel like every year around the new year, I end up getting kind of eye-rolly. And I saw a meme this year that like perfectly summed it up. It said, "New year, new me. Yes, except this year, instead of trying to be better, I'm going to be my absolute worst." In terms of like doing all the stuff to make me better has not been successful or productive at all. Like, I'm just gonna do me, and it'll probably be me at my worst, and it's fine. And to me, it just kind of summed up the way that so many people are starting to feel about all of these pushes to like be better, do better, live better, all of that, to the point of like there's not really anything we can do. And you and I realize from a Christian standpoint, like we actually can't really be better because like we are sinful human beings. Right. But that's not the way that society and culture focuses on this like improving the self sort of thing. So I guess my questions today are like, what a starting point, what would be beneficial, what is beneficial in terms of like actual self-care? What does that look like?
Sure. That's a really good question and a big topic. And like you said, in our society, it's a widespread topic. Not that long ago, I was walking through a book section in a bookstore, and I stopped and marveled for a moment at a self-help book that said, "Girl, stop apologizing." And it really struck me. So if I'm sure of where I am and who I am and what I'm doing, then I could open up that book and see that the person's being guided in the best way for which God would have made them. And I would say, that's a great book title. But that's not what the book was about. I did look at the back and I did open it up a little bit. And it was about being true to yourself and your truth and what's best for you. But then I read the Bible, right? And the Bible doesn't tell us to look out for what's best for us. It helps for us as believers to know that we're not here for us in the first place, that we're created by God to be a servant of God. And so if God runs us ragged for 6 days out of the week and we feel exhausted and I need a bath and a glass of wine and some me time, well, that's fine if that's how you're recovering, but not for the sake of the pleasure of it, but for the sake of the recovery of it. And then back to belonging, not to ourselves. And I think that's key for us as believers. The trouble is people who don't know and don't believe, they don't understand that. I think that we who are here at the church and the people that are here actively and learning actively, whether it's this church or another one, they realize that there is more to what we want than ourselves. But we still want what we want, right? It's like we're two people, because we are. There's a physiological us that wants what it wants to feel how it feels. And there's a spiritual us that says, what does God want you to do? Why did God put you here in the first place? And that battle goes on forever. And if we don't know one side of the battle, the spiritual side, then we're a secular person doing that secular battle. I want what I want. And that's the end of it. Part of it is us being believers knowing, do I need this for healing to follow him? And when we're working with the non-believer to say, they don't know there's another side to this. We do know in mental health that a lot of people are hurting while they're seeking what they want. And one thing I've picked up on in the years I've done it, and the hundreds of people and the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of hours, is it doesn't work. Self-help doesn't really work. Not in the way that our culture puts it.
Yeah. I was just, as you were talking, I was thinking about the difference between believers and non-believers and the way that we kind of understand this topic. And we just wrapped up teaching about the 10 Commandments in our junior confirmation class. And for Christians, we would call that a Sabbath, right? Like the Sabbath rest it's not just time to be lazy and do nothing, but it's rest for the sake of recovery and growing in our relationship with God and our life as believers. Just before I walked over here, you're gonna die. Just before I walked over here, I opened up a Dove chocolate. And you know how they have the like encouraging messages on the wrapper or whatever?
Yeah.
This one said, everyone gets a happy ending. So if you're not happy, it's not the end. And I was like, oh no. But just to me, it just spoke to the same thing, that idea of that is it about what I want, or is it allowing myself the rest and taking care of my physical body to be the person that God has created me to be?
There's a lot of guidance for couples in the Bible about how we can serve the other person and how we can serve others, and then it's all based on how God creates us, right? But a lot of couples will come in and one or the other or both will say, I'm just not happy anymore. They're not even trying to make me happy anymore. And so that's what I want to start with. And I'll say, great. Are we doing Christian counseling? Just wondering. And they'll say, yes. And I'll say, show me in the Bible where it says, be happy.
And you can't.
There's none. Now, there are places, I should say in proper grammar, that there are functions that we have in a marriage and a relationship and in helping others grow and working together as fellow believers, bringing somebody to Christ for him to affect them, where we notice whether it's hard work, exhausting work, sacrifice as a couple or individuals as a couple, that there's joy in it. A sense of Christian accomplishment, a lot greater than feeling happy in the moment in a relationship. We're not here to get what we want. We're here to give what God gives us to give.
Sure. So then I guess just to wrap up today, anything that you have to offer, like practical ways, like I know what I would teach the confirmants, but practical ways for Christians to engage in so-called self-care, or maybe more appropriately, Sabbath rest, that would actually help them recover in a way that promotes growth and living to the design that God created them in.
Sure. I think it's always a good idea to seek somebody who's one step beyond yours in what you do in your life walk and your faith. And then to ask that question and let them ask you back, will that help you? Will that help grow you? Will that help heal you in your rest so that you can launch the next week or the next day into the next thing you have to do? That's the biggest thing. We are terrible self-managers. Just look at how badly we use what the Bible tells us to do, justify not doing what the Bible tells us not to do, what Bible tells us not to do, and then to write thousands of self-help books that never solve any problems except for the glorification of self. We're really not very good at that. So we seek another believer, and that is what the Bible tells us to do. Find someone else who's in one step beyond you, a mentor, a teacher, a counselor. But counselors are weird, so be careful with those guys. Find somebody, a pastor, find someone who's been there, who's done that, who can hear you and say, I think you're on the right track, or I'm not sure if you're going in the right direction. And then give yourself an honest prayer to God and say, is this all I am and how I feel? Is there something bigger than this? If we're trapped in our feelings and we feel like we're stuck or burned out, maybe we are stuck and burned out, or maybe we're looking in the wrong direction.
Sure. Well, thanks for that, Shawn, and thank you guys for watching. And as always, let us know if you have any questions or want to get in touch with anyone in the church office or Shawn. We can put you in contact with him as well. And with that, just pray blessings upon your day and your week, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.